head teacher, and I am so impressed because it's so beautiful after the flood, even more beautiful than it would have been before. So I work in the diocese. I look after all of the schools in terms of inspection, and the inspection of how good they are as Catholic schools, and also how well they teach you religious education. So I'm thrilled to be able to be here, one, to meet you, but secondly, I'm thrilled to be able to answer some of your questions. So, go ahead.
Did you grow up in a family where faith was important?
Yes, I did. I was born in Glasgow, and I have 2 sisters and my mum and dad. And faith was very important to us, but we weren't overly holy. We didn't say prayers all the time or anything like that. But for my parents, God was very important. And going to church on a Sunday, that was important too. So we would go to Mass, not together as a family sometimes. When I got a little bit older, I used to go with my sisters, and my parents would go early in the morning. But faith was important. When I was younger, we did say the rosary together. But that stopped when we kind of got to secondary school, because I think my mum and dad got a bit embarrassed saying the rosary with us, and we might have got embarrassed as well. But God, very much at the centre of what my parents believed and what they hoped to do for us as their children.
Is faith, belief in God important to you?
Central to my life. I'm a sister, and I became a sister. People sometimes talk about as nuns, but I became a sister 40 years ago. And I would say to you that Jesus is the most important person in my life. So my belief in Jesus affects everything I do. And I'm very happy. I live in community with other women who have made the same choice. And we share what's most important, just as a family shares the fact that they're family. I share with the people I live with the fact that Jesus is at the heart of everything that we do.
When did your faith become important to you? Did something happen, or was it something you grew into?
I would say it was gradual. I think when I was your age, I just took it for granted. I was brought up in a Catholic family. I went to a Catholic school. We did Catholic things. We went to church. We said our prayers. I think as I grew older, it became more important to me. But it was gradual. I didn't have a vision. And there wasn't some great moment when I knew that God was important to me. It was a gradual thing. It was almost just like growing up. It was happening without me knowing about it. But it was real. Okay? Thank you.
Are you part of a parish or community? And do you have a particular role there?
Right, I belong to, you could say, 2 groups. One, I belong to my parish, which is St Peter and Paul in Northfields, and I don't at present have a particular role in my parish because I have a particular role in the diocese. The other community I belong to is my religious community, my nuns. I live with them. We share the same desire to live our lives according to what Jesus asks of us. But we belong to a bigger group. It's called the Religious of the Sacred Heart of Mary. That's the religious order I belong to. And we are about perhaps 1,100 of us throughout the world. And we all share the same desire, that we will live our lives according to what Jesus asks of us and how our church advises us. And I work for them, and I travel and I talk about Catholic education with them. So that's my role for my community.
Can you describe some of the everyday things that you do because your faith tells you should do it?
Okay, perhaps first of all I get up in the morning. Because in fact, I actually think that faith and living are so closely connected that I can't separate. That's how important it is. Have you ever heard the word incarnation? Okay. Jesus becoming human. So for me, everything that's about being human is about my faith. So I get up in the morning, I say my prayers, I have my breakfast, I go to work, I visit schools, I come home, I have my meals with my sisters, I sit and watch television. We say a prayer before we go to bed at night. Everything is important because of the purpose. And the purpose is to become as good a human being as I can possibly become. And it's Jesus who shows me how to do that.
And can you explain why these things are important for you to do and how they link to your faith and what you believe?
Well, just as I said to you there, it's absolutely everything. Because Jesus is at the centre, he is the... Do you know any French? No, but I'll tell you a little phrase. Raison d'être. The reason for my being is because I believe God has given me life. Now everything I do then becomes a holy task. I'm not very holy, but it's a holy thing to do. Why? Because Jesus has called me to be the best Mary Jo that I can possibly become.
Of all the things that you believe, is there one thing that you think impacts most on how you live your life?
Yes. Jesus became a human being. And by becoming a human being, he teaches us how to be good human beings. That's what I think it's about. I want to be as closely united, in a sense, with what Jesus asks me to do. So I look to Jesus to find out, how do I live? How do I talk to people? How do I deal with people? How do I manage situations? How do I stop myself getting angry and upset about things? I look to Jesus and how he was and what he did and what he said in order to be able to help me. So it's not about holy things, it's about everyday things. That's how important it is.
Okay. Why is that particular belief important?
Well, because I think it's the only thing that matters. I think that to be the best kind of person I can be is what God calls us to. And my life is about learning to live according to the way Jesus calls me to live. I struggle sometimes because I get upset and I get annoyed and I get impatient and I get angry, and sometimes I don't want to say sorry or forgive somebody. So I'm constantly saying to myself, what is it that Jesus asks me to do? How can I do that? And if I do that, then I think that's the most important thing I can do.
How does it lead you to living as you do?
Just as I've said to you, it affects absolutely everything. Now, you'd think that having lived as long as I have lived, I might be perfect at it. But I'm not, because sometimes there are good days and bad days. And sometimes you feel good and sometimes you don't. Isn't that true? Yeah, you feel like that too. And you don't know why. Out of sorts, in a bit of a grumpy mood or whatever. So I think that what I need to do is to reflect, to sit quietly. That's why praying is so important and reflection is so important, because it helps me to look back over my day. Every night I sit and think about my day. How have I been? What opportunities has this day given me to be a better person, to make somebody happier, to be kinder, to be more supportive? And I ask myself questions. I don't beat myself up, but I just ask myself questions and say, can I learn from that? Is that all right? Thank you.
Are there things that change your faith and how you would like to live?
Yes, I think it's always hard to be the best you can be, because sometimes we just don't do it very well. So yes, that does. I think sometimes I find it hard to get up and go to Mass sometimes because I'm tired and I want to do something else. Those are the ordinary things that everybody has to deal with. And so they're a challenge to me. Perhaps an even bigger challenge is sometimes to let go of feeling annoyed with people and to let go of resentment. Do you know what resentment is? Resentment is when somebody's done something to you or they've offended you and you might want to get them back. You might want to wait and sort them out. Do you ever try to sort people out? Yeah, right. Well, I think the challenge is not to behave like that, to let it go, because sometimes people don't always understand why they do things. Sometimes you might have to say, I didn't like that, I found that hard. But that's much better to say that than to be angry with them, because then they'll just be angry back. So that's the challenge. The challenge is to live as Jesus calls me to live. And that's in ordinary things. Not amazing. I don't have to make amazingly big decisions in life. I have to live every day as Jesus calls me to live.
Sometimes we talk about walking with God. Do you think your life has been walking with God?
Yes, I do. I think that's what I've always wanted to do. I think I didn't know I was walking with God when I was small. I think I just was, my parents brought me up with God as very important in our family and in our lives. And so I went along because you do as your parents tell you. I think as a young adult, I began to realise that it was something I wanted to do. And I think as an adult now, I'm very consciously walking with God because God's very important to me. Jesus is at the heart of what I do. And so I'm constantly asking myself, can I do better? What can I do? And it brings me a lot of happiness. But it's challenging.
Okay.
Thank you.
What do you think is the role of education in today's society?
That is such an important question. I have a passion for Catholic education. Education is about enabling young people to grow to be the best individuals they can be. So it's about you. You coming to understand who you are, what you are about, what our world is about, how we can live in our world, how we can make it a better place, how we can communicate with other people, how we can show understanding, how we can learn about the wonders of the world. So education it's about enabling us to become fully alive and fully human and to know and understand what's important in life.
Does religion have a place in education?
I don't believe that for us in a Catholic school that religion is on the sidelines. Religion is at the heart of everything we do because the first and most important thing is God has created us and given us life. And if God has created me and I'm looking at you, then the question for me is, did God create you too? And if God created you too, then you're precious and special, and I'm precious and special. And the whole of our life is learning how we can be better individuals and how we can be in better relationship with each other. So religion and education, hand in hand. Two sides of the same coin, because it affects everything that we do. Pleasure.
Does your faith give you any special insight into these questions?
Yes, it affects everything. I don't see faith as just being for a Sunday and special occasions like baptism, First Holy Communion, confirmation. No, faith is about every day. And if it doesn't make a difference every day, and you have to grow into that. Don't expect to do it all at once. I'm still growing into it. But yes, it affects everything.
What particular belief helped you form your view on this issue?
That Jesus became a human being. That makes me feel so good, because if I want to know what a fully alive human being is like, I want to look at Jesus. Because faith in Jesus Christ shows me, tells me how to be a better Mary Jo. And I find that out from reading scripture, listening to what the church teaches me, and praying. And also I find it out from the people who love me. Because those are all the things that make me realise that it's an everyday faith and an everyday God, not just a Sunday God. Okay? They're about how you are as a person. I wouldn't expect you to answer them in the same way I did. Why? Why would I? Yes.
Because we're still school children, and you're a mum.
Well, yeah, I'm a nun, but I'm also much older than you. So I've lived a lot longer. I've been practising for longer.
And we're all different people, so we have different...
I love it. Absolutely. We're all at different stages, aren't we? I have a little grandnephew who is 2.5. And do you want to know a secret? He thinks he's the most important person in the world. He's at that stage in his journey. He will soon learn that there are other people. And he'll soon learn that he has to work with other people, live with other people, listen to other people, love other people. At the moment it's all about him. And you're at the stage where you know there are other people. And you're learning. And when you get to a bit older, not as old as me, you'll know that even more. And you might meet somebody and fall in love with them. And they will be so special to you because they will say something special about you. God's in all of that. The ups and the downs, the bad days. It's not all good days, you know. It's bad days. Today's a good day. Do you know why today's a good day?
Because we're here.
No. Oh, that I'd like to think that. Listen, think of all the things I've said about being ordinary. Why is today a good day? Friday. It's a good day because it's Friday. Why is Monday a difficult day?
Because you're sus.
Absolutely. And you know why else? Because you have to get up and get back to school. It's okay. There are good days and bad days. And we somehow find a way to live our lives as we want to live them, and as your parents tell you. They will help to shape you and mould you. And then when you get a little bit older, you will make those decisions for yourself. I'm going to live like this. This is the kind of person I want to be. So Fridays are great days. I love them. I never do any work on a Saturday. No way. No work on a Saturday. I have great fun. So I hope you do too. Do you?
Yeah.
Lovely. Listen, thank you. Thank you so much. I hope that was all right, eh? I don't ever want to see myself on that. One, I hear the Scottish accent and I think, oh my God. If I came from Edinburgh, you see, it'd be posh. But I look forward to seeing that.
Thank you.
No, it's my real pleasure. And thank you very much for being so nice and welcoming to me. And can I just say one last thing? You all look super in purple. I love the colour of your uniform. Brilliant. Okay.